What's up, everybody? Thralls Metal here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick.
I'm Jammin John.
And we have an album review for you, or rather an EP review. Actually, an EP review in a series of EP reviews, because there's a lot of EPs coming out this week. So we are going to go over the latest offering from Alluvial, Death is But a Door. This comes out on the 12th of January on Nuclear Blast Records. This band formed in 2016 in Portland, Oregon. They now have moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And this is their first EP overall. They have 2 full lengths. We actually went over their last one, Sarcoma. And this band has like kind of an interesting history. It originally started off as a joint project between Keith Murrow and Wes Hawk. And it started off as an instrumental project. Their first album, Deep and Longing for Annihilation, was an all-instrumental sort of progressive death metal project. It actually even had some cool guests, like Marty Friedman was on it. And then Wes essentially kind of took the reins, and he started recruiting different members. He got Kevin Muller, who was formerly of Pyrexia, and also did a stint with Suffocation as their live vocalist for a while. And even got Tim Walker, who did a live run with Entheos for a while. Now, this band, I guess you could say, kind of started off as progressive death metal and has kind of moved into more of a straightforward modern death metal approach. Albeit there's still some progginess to their style. It's very technical. It's very chug heavy. And I was eager to check out this EP just because, well, they already released 3 singles, and there was only one song I hadn't heard of here, but 2 of the singles were some of the heaviest things I think I've heard from this band so far.
I would agree, although I didn't hear the singles. There are definitely 2 songs in this album that are, bar none, the heaviest thing that they have ever done. One notably that we'll get to, but yeah. The first 2 songs on this record, nay, the first 3 songs on this record, out of 4, are just that, full tilt boogie. Heavy, groovy, machine gun syncopation. Some of the heaviest chugs, I think, out there right now.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The song Fog Belt might have one of the heaviest breakdowns I've heard this year. And that absolutely shrieking guitar dive bomb or whatever it is. It sounds like he broke it. He sounds like he broke it and it's screaming for its life. But that extra reverb, it sounds super haunting. But yeah, this EP is built on syncopated chug after syncopated chug, blast beats, wild transitions, and just flat out brutality to a level that I'm actually a little surprised by. I even went over Sarcoma today, like jamming it, and while that one is definitely a heavy album, this one feels much more aggressive.
If not brutal, like close to brutal death metal. The brutal breakdown in Bog Dweller, just has Dying Fetus written all over it. And again, Fog Belt, man, after that squeal, the riff that is after that squeal or that scream or whatever it is just, it's heavy and catchy. Like, it's stuck in my head right now. We listened to it again after we wrote all the notes, and I was like, man.
Yeah, and honestly, I will say, like, all 4 of these songs are different. They definitely have different styles. Maybe tonally, I would say 3 of them are very similar in the fact that they are just aggressive as hell. But the last track being a little bit more melodic. Bog Dweller and Area Code in particular are like the faster, more aggressive numbers. This is where you get like a lot more of the kind of tech death riffs. Like there's definitely some callbacks to, I would say, the Faceless, just because Wes did some time in there too. And even a bit of Black Crown Initiate in their more aggressive moments.
Which Wes also did some time in that band too, yeah.
Wes has done some time in a lot of killer bands.
Yeah, Area Code is most notably the Faceless. Like the first probably like 30 seconds of that song, that entire riff pattern that goes through there screams like Planetary Duality.
And Wes's lead work on here, well, it's generally very short. It's also got a lot of variety. Like all the leads on here, I think he does differently. He seems to accentuate some sort of different mode for each song. The biggest standout, though, for me personally, was on Area Code, because he goes full-on Dimebag Darrell in there. Like, squealy dive bombs, that Digitech whammy sound.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of raw and squawky and dirty, and just his note choices, they sound just a little bit more shreddy and mean.
He does it in Bog Dweller, too, although not as well defined as it is in Area Code. But in watching either interviews with Wes or like his YouTube, Instagram thing that he had during the pandemic, and when he was writing the Alluvial records, he's worn the heart on his sleeve for Dimebag Darrell. Like, it's between his guitars and his pedal choices and whatnot, like, you know the man loves Dime, and it definitely shows in these songs.
Yeah, more so in the leads than I would say the riffs. Like, every now and then you do get some more like kind of like classic heavy metal, just kind of like groovy chugs on here. Like there's definitely some on Area Code and Bog Dweller for sure. But a lot of this, he kind of relies on that heavy syncopation. And on top of that, you have Kevin doing vocals, which Kevin's syncopation on top of the vocals, I think, is absolutely awesome. He's got a really solid, just in-your-face roar. Very similar to Fit for an Autopsy, honestly. Like, very big comparison there. And the drum work on here is tighter than hell. Now, they have a different drummer now. He joined in 2022, but I believe during the recording of this, they had one Brody Taylor Smith of the band Exist, which is pretty much a cynic worship band, but I really like his tasteful choices with the fills, the cymbal accents, and there's a lot of very technical drumming on here too. So I mean, I think he was a really good fit in here. It feels pretty smooth for the most part in here because there's a lot going on in this 17-minute EP.
Now, we haven't really talked about the last track. The last track is, in my opinion, vastly different from anything else that's on here. Starts off isolated, ambient, clean guitars, and then you have Wes's raspy, clean vocals on top of everything, and it stays kind of in a more somber yet dark path. To me, it was very straightforward.
Yeah, it's more of a melancholic song. I really like Wes's cleans. They're unique. He has that sort of raspy, just kind of ghostly, haunting sort of vibe to it, like a ghost that's been smoking cigarettes since it was, when it was still alive, and then it kind of carried over. I don't know how that ghost story arc goes, but it's very raspy, and it really works. He adds a dynamic, and then you have Kevin kind of playing off of him. And they did that a fair amount on Sarcoma, and I thought it really worked, especially on the song 40 Stories, which I think is, possibly one of my favorite songs by this band. But the song just has a very dreary, melancholic feel, especially when Wes is singing. The riffs behind his vocals are kind of like early Catatonia, like Brave Murder Day, like that heavy strumming. It's just, very heartfelt. They do have some heavier sections on there with the bridge. It's a little bit chuggier. Kevin takes over on vocals. It gets a little bit more brutal, but it comes back to that and even ends on a really somber note, like it's raining and you just the clean guitar outro and then the EP is over. And I just thought this song was honestly probably the biggest standout just because tonally it is vastly different than the full tilt aggression that is on display on the first 3 tracks.
Yeah, well, the song is decent. I didn't think it fit the vibe of the rest of the album. But I mean, I guess if you're only going to have 4 songs, you need to throw something a little bit different in there. It just didn't jive with me the same as the first 3 songs did.
I do think all 4 songs are pretty different from one another. And I like the fact that variety keeps this interesting. It doesn't feel like you're going through rinse and repeat. And believe me, on a 17-minute EP, you should never get that feeling.
Yeah, that's true.
But I did have some issues with this. Namely, one was Area Code. While I like that song, it's brutal as hell. It's pretty much got every harsh, nasty vibe you can possibly squeeze into a 3.5-minute song on that song. Nasty riffs. There's even a giant slam riff at the end that'll just cave in your skull. But that song, out of all of them, felt the most stitched together. It just felt like a collection of riffs. Goes into blasts, technical riffing. You get some really cool, chuggy, groovy moments, and then it's just kind of going all over the place, and it really doesn't seem to, get centered, except for, the awesome dime bag solo, and, again, that crushing breakdown at the end. The other minor issue I have is this kind of lacks a bit of balance. It is really heavy up front. This is probably the heaviest stuff they've done. And I kind of like that mix of melody and brutality that was on Sarcoma. I kind of feel like the opening tracks are just kind of going for the throat more than they are going for a good melodic hook. Now, granted, I like all the breakdowns. They're heavier than hell. And if I had to pick one song on here that was a big standout, it is definitely Fog Belt.
Fog Belt.
Because, man, that song is heavy. But I feel like they kind of packed all the melody in the last track, and I feel like it could have been, just distributed a little bit more evenly on here.
I don't know that I had really that many complaints about it. I don't even know that I had a real complaint about Area Code, mostly because it was so akin to the Faceless, and I like early Faceless. My gripe was Death is But a Door. I just didn't feel like it fit really tonally with the rest of the album, but it wasn't a bad song. I just don't know if I would have put it on the EP when you get the 75% of this record packed with heavier than hell chugs and songwriting.
Well, it's the title track. I mean, you gotta have it on the title.
I understand you gotta have it on the album. I don't know if I would have chosen this as the title track. Granted, it's not my band, and who the hell am I? They don't care. But I mean, like, it just seems that 75% of this record was really heavy, and then the title track was just kind of meh. That being said, I'm gonna give this 3.5 stars. It is a damn good record, dude. Again, the first 3 tracks are very heavy-hitting, great syncopation, and although I love chugs, just like, dude, Fog Belt is devastating. That's devastatingly heavy. That stank face throughout, that scream tag into that riff, I guarantee will be stuck in your head. It's in my head now. Yeah, a great output from these guys, probably heavier than I think they've ever been. Granted, I miss the instrumental days of Alluvial. I really liked Alluvial when it was instrumental. That's not a knock against Kevin Muller or any of the other awesome musicians that are here. That's nothing against Wes's clean vocals. Back in the day, that was Alluvial for me. This is a great offering, though, if you're fans of the Faceless or Fit for an Autopsy or any number of bands with devastatingly heavy chugs. You're probably really going to like this. I'd recommend checking it out.
Yeah, I'm at 3.5 as well. I like this for the most part. I do think this definitely features some of their heaviest material to date. Again, I feel like they kind of flexed on the heavy on this one, but not as much in the songwriting. I would have liked to have heard like a little bit more melody here and there just because that was kind of the sound that I really liked on Sarcoma. But, I mean, when it comes down to devastating chops, yeah, Fog Belt. Oh my God, that song is ridiculously heavy, and yeah, I'm going to be coming back to that one quite a bit. Now also, I think this is definitely a sampler size, and who knows what's coming down the pipe in terms of what they do from here, whether their next album is going to be way more brutal, or it's going to be a good mix of melody and brutality. Who knows? They will. They will know because they're the ones writing it, and we'll just be kind of left guessing. But I think this is a good sampler offering, and it definitely showcases a different side of the band, especially on the first 3 tracks. Like, if you're just looking to hear them be as heavy as possible, the first 3 tracks are awesome. And I liked Death is But a Door just because I like dreary, sad boy music, and yeah, they did a good job in that. I would like to hear more of Wes's cleans because I think they add a really cool dynamic. But yeah, if you're a big fan, again, of the Faceless, and I'd say Black Crown Initiate to a degree too. Just kind of like heavy modern death metal with maybe a little bit of a deathcore tinge to it. Like, I don't think this is deathcore, but you know, the comparisons to Fit for an Autopsy are definitely there. I'd say just check it out because I think this is pretty solid. So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below, thrallsmetal.com. Our Patreon link is there. It is also on our channel. But thrallsmetal.com is where you go to get Thralls Metal stuff. We have shirts. We have old shirts that are discounted. We have hats. If you're looking for any of those items, click the link down below.
And last but not least, we always have stuff going on at Thralls of Metal. Tons more reviews coming because we're only in the second week of January and it's going to be a long year and there's a ton of killer stuff coming out. You got the Black Dahlia murder ranking coming. After that, we have Meshuggah, which is going to be a pain in the balls to rank. The return of What's John Jamming if my tripod ever comes in the mail, which who knows at this point. Retro reviews and a ton of other stuff. Just always something going on at Thralls of Metal. Always. Because this is our lives. And really, we couldn't do any of it without you guys. Thank you to all of our subscribers, all our viewers, all our new viewers, everybody. Thank you for being a part of this, and thank you for giving us something to do other than sit down here and stare at each other. We really appreciate it. Nick?
Yeah, no, sitting down here and just staring at a movie, a special kind of hell that I would not want to live in. So you guys rule, especially on that account, because you keep me from doing that. But yeah, tons of stuff coming down the pipe, so definitely stay tuned. And with that, I want to thank you one more time because you guys are awesome, and we will catch you later.